I'm sharing my story and my experience because of the impact it made on me and feeling like I'm making a difference in just sharing it. Growing up, I think anxious tendencies were always there, but because I didn't have the language to talk about it, it just seemed normal. High school is when I started noticing on my own terms that the way I process was kind of getting in the way of just my everyday life. College is when I started noticing maybe some more depression, which I had not been super familiar with. I don't think people could tell because I was so concerned about making sure I looked okay to everyone else. It's amazing how much one's own brain can get in the way when there is disordered thinking and when intrusive thoughts become overwhelming to the point that you didn't know you could challenge them. Once I graduated, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and throughout that time, the anxiety really kicked in and the depression really kicked in, feeling very alone, and I didn't understand really what to do with that. The moment I had the thought of, well, what would it be like to not wake up, I knew something was off. The psychiatric nurse practitioner that I was working with got to a point where she said, I'm starting to see what I think are tendencies of obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and I looked at her and thought, A, why do you think I have OCD? That's the thing where people like organize stuff and they want to make sure everything's clean all the time, and that's not my thing. And lo and behold, I was just like many other folks in the world who really have a complete misunderstanding of what obsessive compulsive disorder is. And it was with that conversation that I reached out and was terrified while doing so. But I sat down with my husband and I made that call. And if I hadn't have made that call, I would be in such a different place.
It was a turning point in that it ratcheted up the fear and anxiety, but also proved to be kind of what she needed.
I started out in partial hospitalization virtually, and they weren't seeing the improvements that they would have hoped for, and they wanted me to think about potentially escalating treatment. To think about moving up in treatment rather than down was really daunting. When I just sat down and was honest with myself, it was pretty evident that this was the next needed step. I think the biggest thing I learned that was kind of the light bulb moment was for someone who is always hard on themselves and has never understood the concept of self-love or being kind and has only ever berated oneself, to see that there's another way to speak to yourself. Simple as it sounds, looking your obsessions or your fears in the face and saying, okay, the only way to get past you is to sit with you and to hang out.
To see her transitioned into treatment, then to go into residential, then step back down, to navigate getting back into work and reintegrating kind of things into her life, and then now to be able to speak publicly about it, which is one of her greatest fears, is really astonishing. Can't speak more highly of the work that she did and also of the support that she had.
It's still challenging, it will always be a challenge, but it's a whole different world after the care and support that was provided to me, and I'm extremely grateful for it. It is facing the unknown and leaning into the unknown that makes such a big difference. It's a never-ending journey, but I have the tools now.